Hello, divine children of God. Thanks so much for dropping by this video. And just to be clear, when I use the G word, God, I'm not referring to any specific religion, belief. For me, God is the spirit of the universe, a creative wisdom and intelligence that's available to guide me and to guide everyone. So, many people have heard of the 12-step program, and many people are turned off by the 12-step program. And I was one of them. I went in and out of it for years until I finally realized what it was really all about. And to realize that, I had to go back in time to what the original 12-step program was about. And here's a little sampler from what it was originally about. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. So that sounds very religious, but please keep in mind that the founders of the 12-step program were people who had turned away from religion and found a spiritual path. In the original 12-step program, and it's still true pretty much today, all that's necessary is the openness that there's something, and you get to define that something. I personally keep it really simple and a loving energy field that's everywhere and available to help and guide me and everyone. Kind of like the Force from Star Wars. Just I use it less for fighting and more for creating harmony and having a beautiful life and spreading joy. But again, much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, at this point in the book, that means worked up through step 10. If we have carefully followed directions, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop the vital sixth sense, but we must go further, and that means action. The whole point of the original 12-step program was to make contact with a higher power, a higher reality, a higher mind, and be guided by it, and do good. But if you're guided by that, you're going to do good. End of story. And in that process, addictions and compulsions are literally just lifted. But that is the beginning. That's the whole purpose of the 12 steps as a spiritual discipline. Not the culture, not the meetings, not all the stuff that's grown up around the 12 steps, but the 12 steps are nothing more than a spiritual discipline to get you connected to intuition, to higher mind, to higher power, and be guided by it. Basically, to have an awesome life. But most people think of having an awesome life like, I'm going to come up with my set of goals and I'm going to do them and that's going to make me happy. This is have an awesome life by letting a higher power guide you moment by moment. Now, I had to go in and out of these meetings and rooms and different 12-step programs for I don't even know. It took almost 25 years because it's so watered down today. It's really sad, actually, that very profound spiritual truths and how to access them and live them is what the 12 steps are all about. And everything else is either supporting that or distracting from that. And most of the meetings that I go to me, are a distraction from that. In the old days, there were two kinds of meetings. In the very beginning, there were meetings to introduce people to the 12 steps, and there were meetings those were open meetings, and there were closed meetings for people who had worked through the 12 steps and had a spiritual awakening. and for them to support each other on this path. That's it. Nothing else. No discussion meetings, no therapy, like going to a meeting and just kind of like dumping and unloading your problems. There was introduction to the idea that, hey, there is a higher power, that the force is real and available to help you. Here's how to do it. And there are meetings for, hey, you've made contact with the Force. You're now a Padawan learner. I'm using some Star Wars talk. I hope you can follow it. You're now on the path of the Jedi. You're going to hang out with other people who are on the path of the Jedi and support each other on that specific path. That's all it was. And that's all the actual 12 steps are. Everything else, again, most of it is distractions from that. Some of it, some of the stuff that's been built up around it points to that. And in this channel is going to be about guiding people on the actual way of life of the 12 steps, and a little bit of deconstruction, of removing some of the things that have been built up around this very pure and simple, though not always easy path. Thanks so much for dropping by. And little tidbit, here are the instructions, the very simple instructions for how to develop this sixth sense. The whole path, you need to do the actual all 12 steps, but here's what living it looks like. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, "Thy will be done." We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become more efficient. So thy will be done, sounds a little religious to most people, but the way I sometimes say it is, okay, love, okay, infinite love, guide me. Okay, infinite wisdom, I'm not running the show anymore. You are, guide me. And I'm also clear that it lives within me. Okay, infinite wisdom, what would you have me do? Please guide me. I'm here to serve life. Please make me a better instrument, a better servant, a better everything, so that I can contribute more to life. To live is to give, and the 12 steps are, in my mind, the ultimate path to turn you into a service, a giving, a contributing warrior, being guided by the great Tao, by Source, by God. Each person's free to name it and define it how they want. The only thing is to believe that it exists and it is available to help solve not just addiction problems, but all our problems. Thanks so much for dropping by. Have an inspiration guided day.